Right. Welcome to our first video on non-verbal reasoning. This is something to do with 11 plus. So if you're going to be doing 11 plus this year or next year, they're going to give you questions on non-verbal reasoning. Now, non-verbal reasoning is basically looking at shapes like this in front of you and just basically telling what the shapes mean or anything. So there are normally different things that they normally ask when it comes to shapes like this. So what we're going to do today is just basically to look at some of these kind of questions that they could ask you. Now, section 1 here says find the figure like the first two. So on the left hand side here, I've got two shapes here. You got to pick from A or B or C or D or E which of these shapes would be similar to these shapes that are on the left here. Okay, so that's what you're going to need to do here. So you need to make sure that you read the instructions very well for non-verbal reasoning. You must read the question and you must look at the example very, very well. So I'm going to read this instruction. It says, for each question below, there are two figures that are like each other in some way. Find which of the five figures on the right is most like the two figures on the left. Okay, so these two shapes on the left here, there's something the same about them. And if you pick one of these shapes here, you see that that shape that you're going to pick will have the same characteristic as this other one. Okay. Right. So to do a question like this, the first thing is to look at the two shapes you have. There is something that I can see that is the same here. I can see that both of these shapes are colored black. Okay. I can see blackness in them, this shading of blackness. Now, in terms of what they are, this is a square and this is a circle. So that's not to do with what shape they are because they're different. So that's not the same about them. But the only thing I can see the same about them is that they're 2D shapes and they're colored black. That's all I can see that's the same. So if I'm going to look at A is not the same as them because it's not colored black. B is not colored black. C is colored black. D is not and E is not. So it's not to do with what shape you are. It's to do with the coloring. So C is going to be the right answer because it's colored black, just like these two. Okay. So I would like you to have a go at question 1 and question 2, please. Look at what is similar about these two shapes here and pick one that goes the same as them. Then do the very same here. Pick one that will go the same way as this. Okay, so pause the video and write your answer down as either A, B, C, D, or E for each one. So pause the video and try question 1 and question 2. Okay, hope you've tried question 1 and question 2. So going over them again, by looking at these two shapes, the only thing that I can see the same about them, the first thing is that they are both triangles. So that's the first thing. So if you're not a triangle, I cannot pick you. So A is out, C is out, and E is out straight away. They are not triangles. However, I've got B, which is a triangle, and D, which is also a triangle, so I'm confused. Could it be to do with the coloring inside? Again, the coloring here is just basically lines, and the coloring here is blackness, so just black coloring. So it's not to do with the coloring inside. But what I can see about these triangles, I can see that the bottom side is flat on the ground. Okay, so this bottom side, this part here, and this part here, they are basically bottom flat on the ground, which is what B is here. Now, D is not going to be the answer because the bottom part is not flat on the ground. So this part here will have been on the ground, but it's not. It's not horizontal. Okay, so if it was something like that, then I would have taken it, but it's not. So this side is messing it up. It's not flat horizontal on the ground. Okay, so that's why B is the answer for that. So if you got B, just take B quickly. So B is the right answer. Okay, now with this one here, it's quite difficult, but what I can see about them is that they're both circles, right? So you must be a circle. Now, all of these ones are circles, so it's not to do with that. The next thing I can see in them, I can see dots here. I can see this has got black dots, which are 2, and this has got 3 dots. So again, the number of dots is quite difficult there because you could have a 2 or you could have a 3. So that is not what I'm going to be looking for that much. All I know is that you must have dots somehow. Now, if I look at this, I can also see lines in. I can see one dashed line and one continuous line. And I can also see lines here. Some are dashed and some are continuous. Now, what I noticed that if I count the number of dots, these are 2 dots. here, and if I count these lines that are inside, I see that they're the same. So you got 2 dots there and 2 lines inside of you. Now if you look at this one, you got 3 dots of 1, 2, 3. So 3 dots and 3 lines. Okay, so it's the case that you must have the same number of dots inside as the same number of lines inside. That's the idea. So if I look at A, I've got 1, 2, 3 dots, but 2 lines. That's not correct. With B, I got 1, 2 dots, and I've got 1, 2, 3 lines. So B is out. Now, if I look at C, I can see I've got 1 dot there, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so 4 dots. What about the lines inside? 1, 2, 3, 4 lines. So C is the right answer. You must have the same number of dots as the same number of lines inside of you. D is out because it's got 1, 2, 3 dots, but only 2 lines. And E is out as well. Got 1, 2, 3, 4 dots, but only 2 lines. Okay. So C is the correct answer. So I hope you done well on that. So I'm just going to display the answers there for you with the explanation. So if you didn't get what I said, just look at question 1 is B with the answer there, explanation. And look at question 2, the answer is C with explanation. Okay. Right, so we're going to move on now. I would like you to try question 3 and question 4. So pause the video and try question 3 and question 4. You're picking the shapes on the right, one of them that would go in the same way as these ones that are on the left. Okay, so pause the video and try that. Okay, hope you've tried them. Right, so what I see in this is basically that in this shape I can see black coloring there and I can see black coloring there. So that's the only thing I can see that's the same. So the first thing is that every one of these shapes here, they must have black. So obviously C is out. It doesn't have any black in it. So C is just out. That's the first thing. Okay. Now the answer could be A or B or E or even D. Okay, because you must have black. Now the other thing I notice is that this black seems to be in front of the other shapes. So if you look at this black here, it's overlapping the other ones. It's covering up the other ones. So the black is in front and the other ones are at the back. This black is in front and this white one is at the back of it. So you must have a black shape that is in front of all other shapes. If you look at A here, the black is at the back, so it can't be. If you look at B, this black one is behind this other gray one, so that can't be. If you look at D, the black is in front of the white one, the blank one, this one here. Okay, so the black one is in front of this, is overlapping it, is covering it up. So D is going to be the answer. Okay, so the black must be in front of all the shape for that. Right, so if we look at this question here, I can see two things. I can see that you must have an arrow. So that's got an arrow up and that's got an arrow facing up. The other thing is that you must have two shapes. That's what I can see here. This one has got two circles. This one has got a square and a triangle. So it's not to do with the type of shape you have. It's just to do with the number of them. Okay, so I've got two shapes there with an arrow going up. Two shapes there with an arrow going up. Right, let's look at the first one. The first one, the arrow is going down. So that's obviously out. The second one, the arrow is going up, and that's good. And it's got two shapes. So B is correct answer on that. Okay. Now if you look at this one here, one arrow is going up. The arrow is going up, which is good. But then you got three shapes, which is not allowed. With this one, the arrow is going down, so it's obviously out. With this one, yes, the arrow is going up, but you got three shapes. Okay, and that's not acceptable. So you must have the arrow going up and you must have two shapes. It doesn't matter which shapes you have. It doesn't matter which shading or coloring you have. They just have to be two. That's all. Okay. So if you want to pause the video and then just mark your work. Question 3 is D and question 4 is A. So take your work on that. Okay. Right, so moving on to question 5 and 6. So again, pause the video and try 5 and 6. Same rule. Okay, hope you've tried that. Right, so what I can see in these two shapes here is that the first one here, they're different shapes, so they're not even the same. This one has got two triangles outside, and this one has got a circle outside, so it's not to do with that. But what I can see, notice is that there are two, this one has got a small dot, and this got a small dot. So that's what I can see the same in them. So anybody who doesn't have a dot here is just out. Anyone who doesn't have a small dot is out, but all of them here have got dots. Okay, so I'm gonna need to look for another thing. I can see that here, this flat side here, the dot is kind of in the middle. And this flat side here, the dot is in the middle as well. So you must have a dot in the middle of the flat side. This one, the dot is not in the middle, so that's out. This one, the dot is in the middle, so this could be the right answer. This one, the dot is not on the flat side. The flat side is this side, but the dot is the other way around. This one, the dot is not on the flat side, it's at the tip there, so that's not. Now with this one, E, the dot seems to be in the middle of it, but there's another, shape, on the way, so that's not allowed. So the correct answer is going to be B. Now, it doesn't matter how many shapes you have outside. That's not the point. The point is where the dot is. Okay? So the answer to that is going to be B. Right. With question 6, I can see that these two shapes are different. So it's not to do with what shape you are. But I can see that this shape has got a shape outside, little one outside, and this one has got another little shape outside. So it's as if you must be a big shape with a little shape next to you outside, which I can see most of them are having. This triangle has got that. This big circle has got that. This big square has got that. This triangle has got, so all of them got that. Okay. But what I noticed is that this big triangle here has got a small triangle overlapping it on the left. Likewise, this square here has got a similar small square overlapping it on the left. So that's the main thing that I see that's the same here. Okay. So you must be a shape, a big shape, and a smaller shape overlapping you on your left. So with this one, the triangle is on the right, so that's out. But on this one, the big circle has got a smaller circle overlapping it on the left. So that seems to be the right answer. With this square is on the right, so that's out. With this triangle, the shape is on the left, but it's not a triangle. It's a different thing. It's a hexagon. So that is out. With this one at the same time, the shape is on the left, yes, but it's different. It's a square instead of being what? A hexagon. So the correct answer there is going to be B. Okay. So if you wanna pause the video and just basically mark your answers, please. Pause the video and mark your answers. Okay, hope you've done well on that. We're gonna move on to question 7 and 8. We're gonna move on to question 7 and 8 for you. Again, pause the video and try this. Okay, hope you've done that. Right, so this is a bit tricky, but what I can see straight away from these two shapes is that I can see raindrops here at the bottom. So there's black raindrops of 1, 2, 3, and this 1, 2 there. So they seem to be having raindrops, both of them. Inside here, I seems to be having dashed shapes. So this one I got 3 triangles that are dashed, and this I got 2 circles that are dashed. So there seems to be something to do with shapes inside that are dashed. Let me count the number of sides. So this I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's got 5 sides. And this has got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wow. So that's the first thing I'm noticing here, that the shape must be a pentagon. It must be 5-sided shape. So if you're not 5-sided, you're just out. That's the first thing. So D is just straight away out. D is out because it's 4-sided. So D is just out straight away. A is out as well because it's what? It's a trapezium, 4-sided. So that's just out. So the battle I'm having is now to do with B, C, and E because they're pentagons. So now I need to look for something else then. Now what I notice is that these 3 raindrops, if I count, I've got 1, 2, 3 raindrops, and up there I've got 1, 2, 3 triangles. Even though I have squares as well. But if I go for just 1, 2, 3 raindrops, I can see I've got 1, 2, 3 triangles. Now let's look at this one. I've got 1, 2 raindrops, and here I've got 1, 2 circles. So it's not to do with the squares that are in there. So the raindrops you're having must be equal to the number of the dash shapes you're having there at the top. Okay. This one has got 1 raindrop, but 3 triangles inside, so it's out. This one has got 1, 2, 3 raindrops with 1 circle at the top, so that's out. Okay. Now we said earlier that this is out already. So the only thing that can be true is going to be E then, because it's got 1 raindrop with 1 dashed triangle. It doesn't matter whether the triangle is upside down, it's to do with the number of triangles in there. So that answer is E. Now let's look at question 8. With these two wine glasses, they look like wine glasses here. I can see that I've got 1, 2, 3 lines at the bottom. On this one, I've got 1 and 2. Here, these 2 lines here. But I can also see that if I look at this, I've got 1, 2, 3 dots. So 3 dots there with 3 lines. And 2 dots here with, 2 dots there with 2 lines. So the number of lines you're having at the bottom should be equal to the number of dots you're having at the top. So this seems to be okay. That seems to be out straight away because it's got 2 dots. 1 dot with 2 lines. So that's out. Now this one here seems to be correct because it says 3 lines here at the bottom with 3 dots at the top. So that could be right, but let's just carry on. Here I've got 1, 2, 3 lines with 3 dots. So that could be right as well. And this has got 1 line with 1 dot. So that could be right as well. So we need to look for other things that are the same then. I can see that the level of the wine is the same. Yeah, so this is the level. So if you look at this is basically the same level. So if I was to draw a line, so you can see that this, yeah. So the level of the wine is just the same. So if I was to carry on with that, as much as possible, just trying to sketch it. The line, so the level of wine must be the same. You see that? So I can see straight away that C has got too much wine, so C is basically out. So this is just basically out. Cancel it. So straight away. Now the other thing I can now look for is basically what else can I see? I can see that this dots here at the top, there is black and white ones. So black and white ones. So black and white ones there. Because that's common thing. It doesn't matter how many there are, but at least you must have a black and a white or a black and a white there. Okay, so the only correct answer here, this doesn't have the white dot, this doesn't have the white dot, and this doesn't have the white dot either. So this is the one that's going to be correct. Okay, so 3 lines at the bottom, 3 dots at the top, black and white. Okay, right, so I'm going to pause the video quickly and you just mark your work. So pause the video and then mark your work. Okay. Hope you're done well on that. Now let's move to the last 2 questions there. Let's move to the last 2 questions. Again, pause the video and try this. Okay, hope you try that. Right, so with these shapes, I can see one thing quite quickly, that even though they are different shapes, yeah, so it's nothing to do with what shape you are. This has got 3 sides in it, and then this has got 4 sides. So it's not to do with how many sides you have. However, I can notice there are lines in here, and I'm always interested in just counting them. So this one has got 2 lines. Yes, got 2 lines, and this one has got 3 lines. Okay, so, but I notice one thing, that if I count the number of sides, is 1, 2, 3. I've got 3 sides. Let me write that one in big. So I've got 3 sides and 2 lines inside. And this one I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got 4 sides and 3 lines inside. Now it appears to me that if you have 3 sides, if a shape has 3 sides, then the lines inside will be 2. So 1 less. If the shape has got 4 sides, the lines inside will be 1 less, which is 3. Okay. So I will count the number of sides and I count the number of lines, and the difference must be 1. So this one has got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sides. Okay, there are 6 sides, and the lines are 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. So the difference is 2, and that's not acceptable. Okay. Let me look at maybe this one. Right. So this has got 1, 2, 3, 4 sides. 1, 2, 3, 4 lines inside. So that's not acceptable. Let me try this one. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 lines inside. And I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines. So 5 sides and 4 lines. That's acceptable. So the number of lines inside must be less than the number of sides by 1. Okay, so the answer is B on that one. Now looking at this one here, it's a bit more complicated on this. This one seems to be like a half a moon, and that's half a moon as well. So you have to be half a moon, and all of them are half moons. So it's not to do with that. But I noticed one thing, that this shape here, if I take this half and I join up with these 2 quarters, 2 quarters make half. If I take these 2 quarters and I put them here, they make a whole circle. And also, if I take this half here and I cut it into 2 and I put it here, it's going to cover this to make a whole circle. Likewise, this one, if I look at this big rectangle, this rectangle here, this one, the one I'm pointing at, If I take this black bit here and I put there, it covers it to make the full rectangle. Yeah, this rectangle here, it fills it up. Or if I take this black bit here, this black bit is basically 3/4. If I fill it up here, it covers it, it completes it up. So that's the idea. So you can take this black bit to cover this white bit here, or you can take this black bit here to cover that white bit. So that's the idea, to complete the shape. So looking at this, if I take this half here, it's not going to fill, that's going to be more. So that doesn't work. Now here, if I take these two blacks here, they're going to fill this one over, so it's going to be too much. If I take this quarter here and put it there, it's not going to cover it properly. Other quarter's going to be left. And if I take this quarter here and I fill here, it's just going to cover quarter way. So this be white, it's going to be left. However, if I take this black quarter here and I put it in this white quarter here, it's going to cover it properly. So that is the reason for this. Okay. So if you want to mark your mark, so question 9 is B and question 10 is E. Okay, hope you've done well on that. So that's going to be the end of our first lesson on non-verbal reasoning. This is for your 11 class, if you're going to be doing 11 class this year, or if you're going to be doing 11 class next year. This is your non-verbal to help you. So thank you for today.